Tasha Williams had worked tirelessly for everything she owned. By 42 years old, she had built a life she was incredibly proud of, a life that reflected her unwavering determination. She had earned her two-story house in Chandler, Arizona, a beautiful home that was her sanctuary. In the back of the house, her pride and joy, her crystal-clear, perfectly maintained pool, stood as a symbol of the countless hours she dedicated to achieving her dreams. With palm trees lining the fence and a backyard designed for relaxation, Tasha didn't feel the need to brag about her success. She was proud of her achievements, but more than that, she appreciated the quiet peace she had created in her own space. Tasha wasn't the type of person to seek attention, but within the walls of her home, she had found a sanctuary, and that was all she really needed. Her neighborhood was a mix of families, some who had lived there for years, others who were newcomers, but overall, it was quiet and peaceful. Tasha liked it that way. She wasn't interested in becoming the community favorite. She simply wanted to live without unnecessary disruptions. But little did she know, her peace was about to be shattered in the most unexpected way. It all started one Saturday afternoon. Tasha had spent the day running errands, and as she pulled into her driveway, she noticed something strange. Wet footprints leading from the side gate to the sidewalk. At first, she assumed it was just a landscaper or a utility worker who had slipped through her gate, but then her eyes caught something more concerning: a dripping wet towel carelessly thrown over her fence. Curious, she checked her pool and noticed the water level was lower than usual. Her pool float had been moved, and a half-empty soda can sat abandoned on her lounge chair. Someone had been in her backyard, using her pool without permission. Tasha stood frozen for a moment, trying to process what she was seeing. She tried to reason with herself, thinking it might just be an innocent mistake. Maybe a child had jumped the fence and panicked when caught. But when she casually asked around the neighborhood, she was met with indifference. "It's probably just one of the kids," one woman shrugged dismissively. "You know how they are." Another neighbor, an elderly man, barely looked up from his car as he muttered, "They're just having fun. You've got a nice pool, Miss Williams. People notice." Tasha's frustration grew, but she didn't press the matter further. Instead, she tightened the lock on her gate, hoping the incident was just a one-time mistake. However, deep down, she knew this wouldn't be the last time. Sure enough, a week later, Tasha found herself once again confronted with an invasion of her privacy. She was sitting in her living room when she heard splashing from the backyard. At first, she thought it might be the pool filter malfunctioning, but then she heard the unmistakable sound of laughter. Cautiously, she walked to the back door and peeked outside. To her disbelief, a teenage boy was swimming in her pool, looking completely at ease, as if he had every right to be there. A girl, probably his sister, sat at the edge, dipping her feet into the water. Without thinking, Tasha flung open the door. "Excuse me!" she called out, her voice sharp. The kids froze, their faces registering panic. The boy scrambled out of the water, looking guilty but confused. I thought you wouldn't mind," he stammered, his voice faltering. Tasha's frustration boiled over. "You didn't think to ask?" she snapped. "Who even are you?" The girl mumbled something about living 2 houses down before they bolted, rushing out of the gate as quickly as they had come in. Tasha stood there for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. She wanted to let it go, but she couldn't shake the sense of violation. She didn't feel angry just because they had used her pool without asking. She was angry because they had treated her home as if it were public property. The next day, Tasha approached the kids' parents, hoping for an apology. Instead, she found herself in an argument. The mother scoffed, brushing off her concerns. "Oh, come on, they're just kids. It's so hot outside. What's the big deal?" Tasha, already on edge, retorted sharply, "The big deal is that this is my property, my house, my pool, and I don't remember handing out invitations." The father, arms crossed, muttered under his breath, "You're being dramatic." Tasha's patience snapped. She wanted to unleash a tirade of words, but instead, she made a calm decision. She installed security cameras around her property, hoping they would send a clear message. Unfortunately, the problem wasn't solved that easily. For a brief period, the cameras seemed to deter the intruders, but that peace was fleeting. On a scorching Saturday afternoon, Tasha arrived home to find something even worse, a full-blown party happening in her backyard. As she walked around the side of her house, she noticed her side gate, the one she had always kept locked, slightly ajar. Her heart sank as she stepped around the corner and saw a crowd of people lounging around her pool, as though it were their own private retreat. Grown adults, not just kids, were sprawled across lounge chairs, sipping drinks and chatting. Someone had even set up a folding table with snacks. For a moment, Tasha thought she was losing her mind. Was this a dream? Could this really be happening? But as her eyes scanned the crowd, they landed on Sandra, a neighbor from 3 houses down. Sandra, who had never so much as waved hello before, casually waved at Tasha like it was some casual gathering. "Hey girl, hope you don't mind," Sandra called out. "It's so hot today. We figured we'd cool off in your pool." Tasha's jaw tightened. "Mind? Oh, I mind. Every single one of you get out. Now." Some of the people froze, unsure how to respond, while others exchanged glances as though she was overreacting. Sandra rolled her eyes, clearly unfazed. "Oh, don't be like that. It's just a pool. You weren't even home." Tasha, now furious, marched toward the pool equipment box. She grabbed the remote and switched off the pool filter, silencing the background noise. Then, she yanked the power cord from the speakers. "I'm calling the police," she announced firmly. Suddenly, everything moved in a rush. Drinks were hastily snatched up, towels were wrapped around shoulders, and in a matter of minutes, her yard was empty. Sandra, however, had the audacity to roll her eyes on the way out. "You don't have to be so uptight," Sandra muttered. Tasha's frustration reached its boiling point. "I'm not uptight. I'm just protecting what's mine." She slammed the gate behind them and locked it, standing there for a moment, her chest heaving with anger. This wasn't over. She could feel it. Having exhausted all other options, talking, reasoning, installing cameras, and locking gates, Tasha knew what she had to do next. It was time to take things into her own hands. She would no longer be the nice neighbor who let others walk all over her.